Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back here tonight at the Pivot Poll, and we are super excited to be back with you guys. It's been some time. We've been missing everybody, missing the time that we spend here on Friday nights at 9 p.m., but we are back on the block, ready to share with you guys tonight. For those of you who it's our first time joining us, thank you so much. For those of you who are returning viewers to the Pivot Poll, we thank you guys for sharing this time. We don't take it for granted that you guys take out of your schedule to view the show and to spend this time with us. Welcome to those who may be catching it on the rebroadcast or the replay. We do appreciate you as well. I'm Andretta Guthrie, and this is
Douglas. Hi, I'm so glad to see you.
Oh my God, she's excited, everybody. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Uh, but she's excited. We're both excited to be back with you guys. And tonight, we have a wonderful broadcast planned for you guys. We're going to share some time just chatting with you guys on tonight regarding my health and my journey. If you guys have caught us before, we did a My Health, My Journey, a few weeks back, or probably a few months back at this point, with a guest of ours who was able to share her journey as she has moved to the place of healing and health and wellness. And so, because of Heather's and I, both of our experiences, we thought, let's get back on here. Heather's been gone for a while, with her health journey. And we thought it would be appropriate just to come back and share with you guys about that journey. We want to encourage you guys tonight. And we thought it was important, first of all, because we know we're not alone, especially in this season as we're dealing with, different COVID and Delta and things are going around. We know that we're not the only two people who have walked through, dealing with wellness and sickness and health and journey to, just being healthy and experiencing wellness. And so we just wanted to share that journey, but share that journey to the point of encouraging you all that you're not alone, that you can make it, to hold on to the promises of God, to keep pressing and keep pushing. And so without further ado, I'm going to kick it off to Heather, and she's going to just share a little bit about her time off and now that she's back, where she is and how things are going. What's up, Heather?
Hey, Andretta. Hi, guys. It's so good to be back on the Pivot Poll. I have missed this spot for about 6.5, 7 weeks, give or take. And Andretta knows that I'm not an open book all the time, but I thought it was important to, just share a little bit about what happened with me, why I had to take a little hiatus, things of that nature. So I, since I can remember, have always had female issues, growing up. And eventually it led me to having to have some surgery. So I ended up having to have a hysterectomy about 7.5 weeks ago. After talking to my doctor, going through different therapies and things of that nature and treatments or whatever, we just decided that it would be advantageous for me to have the surgery. Now, I will say this. I was scheduled to have my hysterectomy last year, September to be exact. And that little thing called COVID snuck up on me. So I was unable to have my actual surgery in September of last year. I actually said something and I guess the Lord heard. So I ended up not having it. And then when I was ready, COVID had cleared my body, because that was another health journey that was really serious. My doctor ended up retiring out the blue. So I was like, okay, Lord, so this is 2 for 2. So, if I'm not supposed to have this surgery, then just block it. So, almost a year later, have a new doctor, and I felt really comfortable with her. She explained the procedure to me. in a way that made me feel comfortable knowing that
Mhm.
I was actually making the right decision. And on June 28th, around, I guess, 9 o'clock in the morning, I can't remember, I fell asleep, of course, but I had my surgery and it went well. They did what they needed to do. They left what they needed to leave. And I was able to come home and recover. I stayed overnight, one night in the hospital, and Andretta came with me. You know, they allowed one person to come with you. So Andretta came with me, and I took that one day. Was in the hospital, and then came home and recovered for six weeks,
Mhm.
give or take.
Mhm. Yeah.
It was not easy.
Yeah.
I'm a little stubborn when it comes to recoveries. So I had to not do anything. And I'm the extrovert, remember, in this duo. So I'm accustomed to moving and being and doing and going. And I could not.
Mhm.
My body said, no, you're not doing that. So I had to rely on Andretta and her daughter, Savannah. They helped me out for those 6.5 weeks of recovery. My son was with his dad, so he was able to, not have to be here to go through, me and my recovery and my changes. And 7 weeks later, here I am, still recovering. It's a process, but I
Mhm.
can say on
Mhm.
this side of it that I'm happy that I had the surgery. Um, a hysterectomy it's a major surgery, and for some people, it's the surgery that they really have to contemplate. I knew that I didn't want to have any more children. My child is 20 years old, and I also
Mhm.
knew that the
Mhm.
the things that I had done in the past could have eventually hurt me. Taking medications for pain, being in pain for
Mhm.
like 3 and 4 days out of a month. The things that some women actually do go through. So I knew for me, the
Right.
best thing for me to do was to have this hysterectomy. I learned a lot
Mhm.
throughout being still. There's something about being still that
Yeah.
can quiet you and can make you start to reflect on things. I
Yeah.
realized that, yeah, I do move a lot, and I realized when my body said no that I had to listen to my
Mhm.
body, because if I didn't, I could do more damage than I could do anything good. I learned that I don't always have to be the one to take care of me, if that makes any sense. Uh,
Yeah.
and that it's okay to let other people take care of you.
Yeah.
Uh, I've always been a caretaker of
Yeah.
sorts. I have that. That's just kind of who I am. So to lay in the bed and not be able to do anything, like not even get my computer because
Mhm.
it was too heavy to lift, or not to even go to the kitchen to get something to drink, that
Mhm.
that was a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I learned that it's okay to surrender and let other people take
Mhm.
care of you.
Yes.
Once I got on my feet, though, I was back on it. But it, but I did learn that. I missed being at church. I couldn't sing. I served on our praise and worship team.
We missed her. We missed. I just got to throw that out there. We missed her.
I missed, I joined in every Sunday online. Thank goodness we have an online service. But I missed, not being there. And when I got back there, I felt it, but I
Mhm.
was, I was glad, definitely glad to be back. So I think, I've had a lot of surgery. So my first surgery, I was 13. I had knee surgery, and I've had a
Mhm.
few surgeries, after that. And the thing that I can tell you that is the differences this go round is because of COVID. You know,
Yeah.
prior to COVID, people could come in, they could be in there with you before you have surgery. They're there when you come out of surgery. And because of COVID, a lot of restrictions have been in place. So this was the very first time that I had to go back by myself.
Yeah.
And I think because Andretta took me to the hospital, and I think somewhere in my mind, I heard them say you could bring one person, but I didn't know they meant like after the surgery. I thought they meant like then.
Mhm.
So the registration was really fast, and she said, "All right, say goodbye." And I'm like, "Okay,
Mhm.
bye."
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
wasn't accustomed to that. Unfortunately, the nurse let me call Andretta on the phone, and
Yeah.
Andretta prayed for me because usually if you're in a room with somebody, they can pray
Mhm.
for you, calm your
Yeah.
nerves and all of those things. And this time it was different. So
Mhm.
I did have a little bit of nerves going in. I normally don't. I
Mhm.
normally don't have any nerves going in, but this time I did, just a
Yeah.
little.
Yeah.
And I was glad that she said, I think she probably saw it on my face. She said, "Who has your phone?" I
Mhm.
said, "My best friend does." She said, "You want to call her?" I said, "Can I?" She said,
Mhm.
"Sure." So, we talked, and then we she prayed for me, and next thing I know, I wake up in recovery.
Yeah.
So, all in all, I'm like I said before, I'm glad that this happened. I'm glad it happened the way that it happened.
Mhm.
God has a very interesting way of timing things. So I account for it that last year probably just wasn't the time for me to have this surgery.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
even though I was extremely upset,
Upset. Upset.
I was really
Very.
upset about that thing. Um, I'm glad that, that it happened and transpired the way that it did. So, health and journeys, everybody has one. It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be surgery. It could be any kind of illness. It
Mhm.
could, anything can be a journey when it comes to
Yeah.
your health, and how you
Yeah.
handle it and how you deal with it.
Mm.
I think that all matters.
It does.
Andretta and I are both, as you all know, we are praying sisters. So uh, so I always keep that in my mind that, Lord, thank you for getting me through
Mhm.
this surgery. Thank you. Bless the hands, bless those doctors' hands, everybody who touches me, who has anything to do with me, bless
Mhm.
them. And, it's just health is something that now, we really are, it's a precious thing, and we take
Yeah.
into consideration.
Mhm.
And I think before, sometimes when I've had surgeries, I never really thought about it. I
Yeah.
just knew, okay, I'll see y'all, I'll be okay.
Mhm.
And it doesn't
Mhm.
always mean that. It
Yeah.
doesn't always mean that. So for me, this go round, it just meant it meant something different this time.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I understand that. A lot of what you were saying, I felt it. And one of for those of you who know, about my journey as well, I had major surgery back in 2019, January of 2019. And, a quick backstory to that, I had gone to a wellness, naturopath, who, kind of did some things and looked at some things, and she walked out, and I walked out of there with something, and she kind of explained to me that she felt like I had pancreatic cancer. I'll just tell you guys that she felt like I had pancreatic cancer based upon her assessments and everything she was doing. And I remember when she said it, it stilled me, because this person had come highly recommended to me, by a childhood friend of mine who I absolutely trusted impeccably. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to go. And I went, I was all excited, feeling it, got there, and did not expect to hear the kind of news that she spoke to me. I just didn't expect that. And as soon as she said it, the tears kind of welled up in my eyes, and I got in the car, and Heather was waiting on me outside. We won't talk about why she couldn't come inside. But anyway, so she was waiting on me outside. And when I got in the car, one of the first things that you start to do is when you hear something of that nature, you kind of get, it's a stillness that comes over you. It
Yeah.
was a stillness that came over me. And then I kind of went through the whole doubting that there's no way, she can't know. Went to my doctor, said, hey, can you guys test me? How does this woman know? She just looked at my eyes and looked at my tongue, and, there's no way she knows that. I just, I don't want to receive that. So I went to the doctor. They ran all the blood work and they said, oh my God, you're much too young to even be contemplating cancer, let alone pancreatic cancer. And I was just like, oh, okay, that's so great. And I remember the night that Heather was at my house that night. You remember that, when I thought in that moment I had a really bad pain that hit my chest that night. And I remember standing there grabbing my chest, and I sat on the couch, and and it was a pretty big pain in my chest. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I was getting a little scared. And my son, Aaron, happened to be downstairs, and he was looking at me and he said, Mom, I think you need to go to the emergency room. And I said, no, I'm fine. As we as mothers sometimes always do, we're taking that hero syndrome. I'm fine. There's nothing wrong. And he walked upstairs, and I often tell the story. I can remember the sound of his feet as he was running down the steps to me. And he says, Mom, I'm going to call 911 on you, and then you're going to have to deal with that if you don't go to the hospital. And I kind of looked at Heather, and Heather was like, absolutely, Andretta, I agree with him, go. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm fussing the whole time. Everybody knows how I am. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a waste of my money. I'm thinking ER, I'm thinking money. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to go. And I'm in the car. This is a waste of my time. I'm fine. And I get in there, and of course they take me right back. They do all the tests. They came in and they're like, oh, Miss Guthrie, there is absolutely nothing wrong with your heart. But I noticed the doctor pulled up a chair.
He surely did.
When the doctor in the ER pulls up a chair, you just already feel wrong. You just like, because they don't stop to talk to you that much.
Right.
So he pulled up a chair and he got in close, and I looked at Heather and I'm like, okay. And he said, but we did find something else. We found a cyst on your pancreas. Mm-hmm. And so I remember looking at Heather and the fear. This is the first thing I recall, is the fear that entered my heart in that moment.
Yeah.
I remember, and I looked at her, and the only thing I could think about was this naturopath lady who had said 8 months before that she saw pancreatic cancer.
Yep. And
of course, he's like, you need to see somebody right away, Mrs. Guthrie. So I'm doing all the work. We're going through all of this. I'm like, okay, I can't tell you the things that God did. We don't have time in the show.
Yeah.
How he orchestrated everything on my behalf to get me to the appropriate person. Ended up at Emory, sitting there with one of the best doctors in this area, as far as that is concerned. And he says, you can consider this early detection, Miss Guthrie. He said, he said, by the time I see people, they're already, it's a death sentence already. Yeah. He was just like, it's already too late. And Heather asked the doctor the question, well, what if she doesn't take it out? And he looked at us like, there's no choice here. She has to take it out. So I lost 60% of my pancreas. My spleen was in the hospital. I remember being afraid. I remember being scared of what would happen. I don't like doctors.
She does not.
Okay. And I'm not like Heather. Heather is so strong in there. I'm a baby. I was upset. So she just the whole process of getting back there, getting prepped, getting together, I really felt, beside myself as to my emotions. And I remember dealing with the emotions. And I remember standing there that morning before I got there and praying through that Cindy Trim prayer where it talks about every little line, every little portion of your body. And my husband's like, babe, we got to go. And I said, I have to do this first. I said, I will not go under unless I've done my work first. I felt like I needed to do this work in the realm of the spirit first. I got to deal with that first. Right. We got there. When I came out, I remember, and I don't know if you ever felt like this, Heather, but it's something about being put under. I just was like, am I going to wake up? You know what I mean? I was,
Right.
am I going to wake up? And
Hmm.
it's something about when you're standing face to face with your own mortality,
Right.
with your own wellness, your own health, your own life, that brings you into another place. And
Hmm.
I remember, waiting to hear back from them and, going through there. And then I got very sick after that.
Yeah.
I ended up with an infection. I had a temperature. I remember Heather came over and I told her I was sick. And anyway, I ended up in ICU.
Yes.
It just kept going on and on. And so, you know, I remember I had never been sick. I'd been healthy, never had any challenges health wise, never had any surgeries, went from no surgeries to this major place. And I just kept thinking, my God, how did I get here? My God, how did I enter into this place where, my body is dealing, with this problem? And you start feeling like, how did this happen to me? You know what I'm
Mm.
saying?
Right.
But
Right.
the one thing I felt like, that you spoke to was the learning that you have to do,
Hmm.
learning how to rest, learning how to be still, learning how to allow your body to heal. Because a lot of, especially moms, if you're
Yeah.
a woman, there may be men on here, but especially mothers, we got that hero syndrome. We got to fix everything. We got to stand in the
Mhm.
gap for everybody. We got to make sure everybody is well. We got to carry the world on our shoulders.
Right.
And when you cannot do that, there is something that comes with that. And just getting your place to the mind to the place where you allow yourself to be still and allow God to heal your body. The mental, acrobats that I was doing, when I was sick and healing and having to go in the hospital. I went through the thing where I couldn't eat, wouldn't eat. I
Yeah.
did. Well, clearly I've been eating. I mean, I've probably been eating since, but I'm just, I'm just saying, but I wouldn't eat. I went through the whole thing of rejecting food and them threatening me in the hospital, just this whole rigmarole. And I felt like, I was in a tornado. And I can recall the work that God had to do in my heart in that season
Hmm.
of learning to be still and learning to give myself the grace to rest and the
Right.
grace to heal. And during that time, from the diagnosis to going through the surgery, what I found, I had to really tether myself, to the word of God, and tether myself to, his promises and to the hope that, God, you started a good work in me. It's not my time. I may be walking through this journey. I may not be well right now, but I am trusting and believing in the manifestation of your healing, trusting and believing in the manifestation of what, I know that you can do in my body. But there
Hmm.
were moments where I was just scared,
Yeah.
I was just absolutely fearful, of what was happening in my body and what that would mean. And I remember that same stillness coming over me when we were diagnosed with COVID.
Hmm.
People were dying. I
Right.
mean, people were dying, and you
Exactly.
get a diagnosis that, oh, I too have COVID,
Right.
when they're stacking up bodies in a 18-wheeler downtown. You see what
Right.
I'm saying?
Right.
And coming to that place of stillness. And I was sick for for 30 days. Heather was sick for longer than 30 days. She
Hmm.
couldn't breathe, lungs incapacitated, ended up with double pneumonia.
Hmm.
I'm sick. It didn't hit me in my chest, but it hit me in my abdomen where, you know, I can't take on food. I'm vomiting all the time. It was crucial.
It
And
was.
so, when you're walking through times like that, knowing how and what to do to be in the place that you need to be in so God can do the work that he needs to do.
Yeah.
And one of the first things I learned is to watch my mouth.
Mm.
Watch my mouth.
Okay.
because I had to start saying what God was saying about me.
Right. Right.
I couldn't be on the sickness. I
Yeah.
couldn't be on what was happening to me at that time. I had to keep pulling down the stronghold of fear, pulling down the stronghold of anxiety, because I am naturally like a high strung individual. And
Yeah.
Heather probably got plenty stories. I was constantly trying to tether myself, to that place where God, I know you have me, you
Right.
know. And the funny thing about it is, we all, whether you have walked through sickness, disease, whether no matter where you might be in your life, it may not be that, but I think we all walk through circumstances in our lives where we are uncertain. It's the
Yeah.
uncertainty of what that situation may look like, what that situation may develop to, or end up in,
Yeah.
of grappling with that initial uncertainty, and then having to get yourself to the place where you are saying, God, I trust you with my life.
Mm-hmm.
I
Exactly.
trust you with my health. I trust you even when the manifestation of that healing is not there.
Present.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's true. I know that that affected me with COVID. I will say that because,
Yeah.
like Greta said, she had COVID for 30 days. I probably
Mhm.
had two tests, maybe two or three tests before I finally
Mhm.
tested negative. And
Yeah.
when I remember the day that she and her daughter said that, they were COVID free. And I was like, praise God, thank God. And here I go. See, now here's the one angel and then the other. Yes. And then well, I wonder if you are, Heather. So
Yeah.
I get up out the bed and go and get tested. And they tell me, no, you still have
Yeah.
COVID. Mm-mm,
Mhm.
you still have COVID. You got some more days. And I was hot as fish grease. Because although I was very happy that that Andretta and her daughter were clear, because the COVID is no joke. But I
Yeah.
started saying, well, God, well, dang. Well,
Right. Right.
well,
And
dang.
that's key. That's key, Heather, because a lot of times when you're walking through things and you see other people being blessed and you feel like you're not being blessed, or being healed and you feel like you're not being healed,
Yeah,
or their families are well and you feel like your family is not well, that's a real thing.
it is.
Those are real emotions,
It is.
and real places that you have to deal with as you start looking around your life and your circle and your friends and family, and just people that and you're thinking, why is that happening for them?
Right, exactly. And Andretta was the one who she had to remind me. She said, Heather, it hit your lungs,
Yeah.
and you have double pneumonia, dear.
Right.
So it's just taking a little bit longer for it to get out of your system, and it's okay. So
Right.
I was able to come back to, okay, it's okay, versus
Right.
the negativeness that
Right.
that was starting to creep up. So I
Yeah.
think it just, it happens to all of us, like you said, and how
Mhm.
you deal with it,
Mhm.
and how you
Makes
let
that
God deal with it.
Mhm.
How you let God deal with it and deal with you, uh, means everything. It
It
means
does.
everything. Because I
You
know for
know.
me, I thought that I was dying with
Mhm.
COVID. I
Yeah.
don't, and now Andretta doesn't like hospitals. I don't like
Mhm.
ambulances.
Right.
And I had to call
Mhm.
911 to come get me. And
Right.
I didn't want to, but she said, you might not want to drive. You might want to, see about somebody coming to get you.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
didn't like that ride. I have a thing about ambulances. And
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
honestly thought, I cannot breathe.
Breathe.
This,
Yeah.
this is a problem. I cannot
Yeah.
breathe.
Right. And
It,
you know what? Yeah, I want to interrupt you. The thing about, that was different from the journey of like getting a diagnosis versus dealing with COVID,
mhm,
is that thing moved so rapidly.
it did.
As I remember us entering into, because we are around each other all the time, so we kind of already knew, like, okay, you know, I didn't feel well that Thursday.
Mhm.
Savannah wasn't feeling well that Thursday, woke up that Friday, got temperatures, got to get a test. Went that Friday morning. They diagnosed us that Friday, like late Friday morning. By the time we went to fulfill the prescriptions and got in the car to go home,
Mm-hmm.
I barely made it into the house. That's how sick. And then I remember you stuck out in my mind so much.
Yeah.
You said, okay, I'm going to go get tested just as normal as you please.
Mm-hmm.
Hopped in the car, called me. I'm sick, but I'm listening to you as you're waiting to be called into the clinic to be
Yeah.
tested. And you were deteriorating with every moment that was going by.
Yeah.
I mean, you were barely even speaking at that point. And
Yeah.
I was getting very concerned, but I couldn't help. You know,
Right.
you're there. And I'm like, and then you come out, I got COVID. And I'm like, watching all of this happen. And at that point is when I started getting like, like I can't breathe. I could tell it was hitting you in a different place than it was hitting me.
Yeah.
And, just dealing with that whole idea of a real live situation that is devastating the world.
Yes.
And now you're dealing with it.
Exactly.
Now,
And grappling with the fact that you don't want to be a number, because those
no.
numbers were rising every single solitary day.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you heard COVID,
Right.
it stirred up some things, in you. And I remember being sick. I remember Andretta being sick, and I drove to her house to give you something. I don't even remember what it was.
That was not even like, we really shouldn't even talk about that. This woman, we were both ill. I was very ill. I was screaming to my neighbors probably heard me. I mean, I'm just, and this is kind of, but I was screaming so loud in this house for 3 days. Like, just, I was in so much pain. And she just knew I was screaming. That's all she knew. She couldn't breathe. She climbs in the car and comes over here. And I'm like, who is in my house? Who's in? She's coming in the door. I said, go home. You have COVID too. And it was just a cram. I'm like, go home, Heather. Yeah. You're sick too, And so anyway, to say all of that, we went through all of that, went through the surgeries, went through the journeys, went to the place of, from getting diagnosis, entering into the place where you're feeling fearful and afraid, and then entering into that journey of wellness and healing. Yeah. You learn a lot. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about others. We were talking about, when you get sick, how it reveals everything. And not just sickness once or twice or 1 or 2 days, but when you have had any illness that lasts any amount of time, how you have to come to, you're battling now, even the way you see your relationships, the way you see your support system, the way you see the people around you, those who responded, those who didn't respond, those who felt the need to, and then it kind of makes you reflect on, well, who have I been when the people around me have not been well? And I just so honor Heather so much, because during that surgery in January with the pancreas thing, I could not have asked for a better friend. I could not have asked for, and I will say this publicly, and I've said it, over the pulpit, I've said it in different places to different people, how you just were, said it in as many ways as I can, that how you just were the epitome of what a friend is.
Oh, thank you.
And friends are made for adversity, they're made for that. You sacrificed in ways that I could not have imagined. Heather's temperament was from God, because I don't have that kind of temperament. I was trying to be the best possible nurse.
You did a good job. You did a very good job.
Lord knows. At about a certain time, I'm like, in the name, I start interceding for other reasons, like, in the name of Jesus. Like, please heal her, oh God. Please, Jesus. But just even revealing that part of your life and the people who, and although you don't want to concentrate, that's a part of a journey to wellness and healing,
Yeah.
is understanding the people that are around you
Yeah.
and those who value your life,
You're right.
those who value your wellness,
You're
those
right.
who say a word of encouragement to you, and then understanding what you need to be to someone else. You know,
Exactly.
that's a major thing, you
It is.
know?
It is. It is. That is a major, major thing. And I think it's always good to, you never, like you said, it adversities test us to
Hmm.
help you either show up or
Yeah.
to show out in
Right.
some
Yeah.
cases. And it's just, it's a blessing to have people who can be a blessing in the
Yeah.
middle of your crisis.
Crisis. Absolutely.
It's very,
Absolutely.
very and it's important to have people like that, and it's important to be like that. If And it doesn't mean that you have to be Superwoman or Superman.
Right.
You show
Right.
up the way that you need to show up, and you show up for
Yeah.
that person.
That's good. That's good. You know, that is so good. You know, so and then we talked about, we want to encourage people. We were telling our stories, but we want to encourage you guys, how, we made it through different levels of sickness, different levels of diagnosis, surgeries, COVID, and one of the first things that, as she's talking about is your tribe. Know
Mhm.
those who walk among you, surround yourself with people who love you, you
Yes.
know in the grand scheme of things, because I don't do make this quote quite often, because I just don't like saying it and confessing those words, but in the whole grand scheme of things, our life is but here. You see
Right.
what I'm saying? When
Mhm.
you're talking about infinity and,
Mhm.
years and thousands upon thousands of years that will go,
Yeah.
should things just do what they do. Our life is here, and
Mhm.
ain't nobody got time for that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, nobody, you need to surround yourself with people that love you.
Right.
Surround yourself with people who want to encourage you. And don't be afraid to tell people what you need.
Right.
I had to learn, because sometimes you want to get upset because people are not responding the way you need them to,
Yep.
but everybody intuitively doesn't know what you need.
Exactly.
So being bitter, come on now,
No.
because someone isn't serving you the way you need it, or isn't meeting your expectations.
Right.
It's okay to say to someone, listen, this is what I need, and this is the support that I need. And it's okay, because humbling comes in a lot of ways, and being able to say to those who love you and teach them how to love you when you're in these different places and ebbs and flows in your life, is saying, how is it that I need to receive love right now, in
Right.
order to feel whole, in order to feel well, to help me along this journey? Because I found myself in that kind of way, but I realized I wasn't asking.
Exactly.
Sometimes, and I'm always the person who feel like, wow, you ought to know what I need. You see, I'm over here looking, but that's not fair.
Right.
It's really not even fair,
Yeah.
because I've definitely been, and I think Heather taught me that. I think you taught me that along the way. Andretta, you're one of those people, you want people to know what you need. You
Right.
want people to know what you want. But have you shared with that person what it is that you need? And
Exactly.
that becomes key as you're going through healing and, wellness, and getting back to the place where you are whole, whether that be financially, whether that be health wise, whether that be relationship wise, marriages, family, children, wherever you might be. Don't be afraid, to look at your tribe, to look at the people around you, and to
Mhm.
share with them what you need, so that
Exactly.
they know how to show up for you, and therefore your expectations also can be met. How you feel about that,
I
Heather?
agree with you 110%. You have to no one's a mind reader. No
Yeah.
one, even the closest of people, even
Yeah.
spouses,
Yeah.
parent, child, parent to parent, it no one is a mind reader. So you have to open your mouth and say what it
Yeah.
is that you need. I can remember when I had during my hysterectomy, that I think I posted on Facebook because I was mad about my remote control falling on the floor or whatever, and I was like, okay, this is some crazy stuff. So I joked around about it, but Joanne got me a grabber.
Yeah, yeah.
She figured, okay, first of all, you don't need to be trying to get down there to get nothing. So,
Mm-hmm.
and so she bought me a grabber. Now I didn't have to say, Joanne, can you buy me a grabber? But
Right,
but she knew that I had gone through this surgery. She had been checking on
right,
me and she knew all those things. And she knows I have a propensity to get my
right.
foot up when I need to
Mm-hmm.
be laying down. So
Right.
this Amazon package just shows up at my door and it's a
Absolutely.
grabber.
Right.
So, it all goes back to, I think, paying attention to people, uh,
Right.
knowing how to ask people as well
Right.
what they
Right.
need. And then from the patient side,
Mm-hmm.
telling people what it is that you really need.
Right.
That's key, because
Right.
you can't get stuck in the thought of, well, they should have known, or now you're mad at
Mm-hmm.
your spouse, or now you're mad at your best friend or your cousin or whoever,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just because you didn't open your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing that we talked about, and I noticed that we did this a lot, especially during COVID. I just can't even talk about, the whole COVID thing was another level,
It was.
but, embrace the grace of God.
Mm,
You know, if I can encourage you in any way tonight, if you're viewing or will watch this later, embrace the grace of God. Embrace the grace of God, because it's the grace of God that is sufficient for you.
amen.
That when you are weak, He will be strong in you, and also having the grace of God for yourself as you are healing, because I wanted to be well a lot sooner than I was.
Yeah.
And I was really judging myself for not being able to get up and, clean up and do things that I would normally do. Enter into the grace of God. Be easy on yourself. A lot of times we are so hard on ourselves as it relates to, you know, the responsibilities that we carry and the things that we need to do. Enter into His grace and allow His grace to carry you through. Because what I found is that when I got to the place where I was just allowing myself to heal and allowing God to overshadow me and allowing, my mind to be still and just to really rest in Him, that I began to get better a lot sooner than
Right.
when I was wrestling with, this place of I need to be better. I want to be better. I just went and said, God, I just enter into your grace,
Yeah.
so that it will carry me in a place. And then I'm able to be, forgiving and kind to myself, but you're also able to be that to other people,
People. That's right.
that are around you, because we all take on different emotions when we're walking through things. We display, you don't know who you are until you are,
That's
a
right.
lot of times as you're walking through different places that you've never walked through before.
That's true.
Um, and so as you are entering into that place with people, if you're the person that's sick, allow the grace of God to carry you. Allow the grace of God to work in you as you're walking through that journey of healing. Share grace with the people around you. And if you're taking care of someone, let me say this: share grace with that person.
Right.
Because and if all this grace is moving around, we're gonna make it, relationally. Because it's hard taking care of someone when they're sick, when they're irritable, when they're upset, when they don't have the energy, when they don't have, husbands, loving their wives through it, wives loving their husbands through it, children getting in and undergirding your parents or your, wherever the relationships, friends to friends, let the grace of God just flow down,
Yeah.
like a river,
Yeah.
so that we all can partake. Because I think that that was something that I needed to do, that I didn't understand at the time, that I was pressing through to the place of healing, that I needed to rest in his grace. And it
Yeah.
took me to get in there like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is really good. That's really good and very important, because if you don't, you you can come out kind of jaded. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you can mess up relationships. You can,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know about you, sometimes if I'm not feeling well,
Yeah.
things might come out of this thing here
Mm-hmm.
that
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and once it's out, it's hard to take those things back. Uh,
Absolutely.
so the grace of God is very sufficient, and you have to, like she said, allow
Yeah.
yourself that time, uh, to just rest in that. And I think it's amazing to me, because I think that that's how God created our bodies. We rest, our bodies repair
Mm-hmm.
through rest.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and it's just, I mean, I couldn't move with COVID. I don't care what I
Mm-hmm.
tried to do, it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
happening.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
had to rest.
Had
You
to.
had to rest
Had to.
when you had your surgery. There
Mm-hmm.
was no way around it. And I just think that's God's, his little nudge again, to remind us, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm here, I got
Mm-hmm.
you, but you
Mm-hmm.
gotta rest.
Yeah, that was important because I thought I was stronger than I was. That night that I ended up in ICU, yeah, you called the ambulance on me. I've had more than one, with the whole surgery thing.
Mhm.
I thought I was stronger than I was. Just getting in the shower, standing up in the shower was too much.
Mhm.
The exhaustion, the level of exhaustion that you experience, eating. I ate a little thing of applesauce all day. It took all day. And that applesauce never, just you realize that you need grace. You
Yeah.
need grace while you're building that place up.
Mhm.
You need to be gracious with yourself. And it's okay to say, hey, and to recognize that I need to be kind to me. I need to
Yeah.
be kind to me. And do the best that I can to be kind to those who are around me as well. And another encouraging word I want to say to you guys as we're winding down too, is that, also enter into the peace of God. Enter into the
Yeah.
peace of God. Jehovah Shalom is everything. And I
Mhm.
always ask Jehovah Shalom to overshadow me. Just rest on my life,
Yeah.
because I am one of these people that my mind, I'm cerebral. I say it all the time. I'm going all the time in my mind. And if you're anything like me, you spend time thinking and turning information in your head. You're thinking and thinking. And sometimes that thinking can lead you to the place of anxiety. You have a lack of peace. You have a lack of stability. You enter into fear because now you're overthinking everything. But what I found is that God will carry you as nobody else can. And he will, like, and everybody always says, a peace that surpasses understanding. And that's what I felt like I had during COVID too.
Yeah.
I got into that peace that
Mhm.
was just surpassing anything I could understand, anything I was experiencing. Because when I got dropped off at the emergency room that day, I honestly, I couldn't answer the phone. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it out of here. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm gonna make it out of this hospital. And I was feeling that way. And then God just kind of, he just brought his peace. And I just knew that if I could stand, because I was in so much pain, I'm going to get through this place. I'm going to be all right. I'm trusting God with my life. I'm
Right.
in a place, where God has me. Yes, yes, I'm in pain right now, but God is a healer.
Exactly.
I don't feel well right now, but his blood overshadows me by the power of the blood of the Lamb. I know he's healing me even right now.
Yep.
And allowing, you were talking about this, using this to proclaim that which saith the Lord,
Yep.
proclaim the scripture, speak over your own life. That will help you enter into his peace in a way that simply looking and identifying the situation will not do for you.
That's right.
And a lot of times you have to begin to say that. You have to begin to speak life over your body. Heather and I were on the phone with each other, just checking. We couldn't even check on each other. We couldn't,
Yep.
one of the times we got, I said, Heather, let's just pray,
That's right.
and we were praying. We couldn't barely talk, but we were praying and declaring the word of the Lord.
Right.
And I remember I began to sing over my own body, the peace, Jehovah Shalom, Jehovah Shalom, over my body. Bring my body to the place of wholeness,
Right.
peace, where there's nothing missing, nothing broken. And I began to sing. And that was one of the few times before I had gotten to the place where I was doing better that I began to feel peace inside my body. And
Exactly.
so pray, declare the word over your body. I encourage you to do that. There is an inherent power in the word of the Lord. There's an inherent power in the scriptures. As you begin to say and decree those words, your body will come to the place of alignment. Just
Right.
continue to say it. You may not see it. A lot of times we get discouraged. And I know there may be even somebody who's dealing with a diagnosis, who's dealing with sickness, who's dealing with disease, who's dealing with breakdown, whatever that breakdown might be. Put the word of God nigh thy mouth and begin to speak and say it, because not only is it changing your situation, but it's changing you. It's
Right.
changing who you are. It's changing the way you think. It's changing the way you speak. And so for me, that was one of the ways that I got into the place of being encouraged, so that my most holy faith could be built up, so that I could, build up my hope and build up my faith while God was doing his work. Because he was
Exactly.
working on me. I knew that. I
Oh
knew
yeah.
that, but I had to get myself in a place of peace. And I did that through his word. I did that through, I could barely talk, but I was mumbling and singing a song,
Exactly.
worshiping him in the bed, flat on my back, worshiping him, calling him Jehovah, calling him God, calling my healer, calling him my provider, calling him my God, saying, you are the great I am. And I receive you even now in my life right now to heal this body from top of my head to the soles of my feet. And I trust you with my life.
Exactly.
And healing takes trust.
It
It
does.
takes
It
trust.
does. Because it
You know?
doesn't look like it's going to happen. It
Yeah.
doesn't, especially with COVID. It just didn't. I know for me, it just didn't feel like I was ever going to get better. And I,
Mhm.
even though I knew to pray and I knew to ask God to heal
Mhm.
me, but
Mhm.
walking from here to there and you can't breathe, it's that
Yeah.
those
Mhm.
two,
Mhm.
which voice are you going to listen to? And you
Right.
have to choose to listen to the voice of the Lord.
That's right.
He's the one that can heal you. He's the one that is healing you. He's the one that is
Mm.
providing for you. He is the one who's taking care of you, and you will get through it. And anybody who's going
Right.
through any type of journey, and even for those who aren't going through something now, we always go through something. It might not be now, but
Mhm.
it's something. And it doesn't even have to be health related, but just keep God
Mhm.
first. Keep him first. Keep him
Right.
in the center. Keep
That's
him in everything that you do, because it
right.
helps. Even when it doesn't look like it, even when it does not look like it's gonna work, or you're gonna make it. God is
Right.
still there. He is still working on your behalf. And as long as
Yeah.
you keep that faith and remember that, that
Amen.
helps. That
That's
helps.
right. That's right. And I just heard even this now, is that every step of the way, be grateful for the provision and the shifts that God makes in you, every step of the way. Be grateful, be thankful, because in the place of gratitude, you don't have place and time to be negative. You don't
Yeah.
have time to focus on those negatives because you're too busy being grateful.
That's right.
I during COVID, I had to just say, God, I'm grateful I'm not in the hospital. I'm
Yeah.
grateful I'm not in a ventilator. I'm grateful that my family isn't wondering, how I'm doing when they can't come into the hospital. I'm grateful that I could breathe. Now, you had something else going, but I was grateful that I could breathe. I was grateful that I could move. I was grateful that I was at home. I was grateful my daughter got over it because she had, been dealing with asthma. But enter into the place of gratitude and thank him every day for
Exactly.
that which he has already done. I don't care if you've only come this far and you've got this far to go.
Hmm.
Begin to bless him for the journey that you have made. Begin to
Exactly.
bless him for the time and the places and the steps that you have taken. because there is much to be grateful for.
Yeah.
There's much to be grateful for. So, Heather, what do you have to say? Any last words before we go
Well,
tonight?
no, I mean, I'm glad that we have this platform to share with others, because sometimes, you know, you want to say things, but you're not sure how people will look at it or talk about it. But I'm glad that we have the ability to talk about health journeys and health challenges, and to help someone else out there who might be, going through something, and just to know that
Right.
God's grace, again, God's grace is sufficient, and he is there to help you and to guide you and to lead you through the health and through your journey.
Right. Amen. Amen. I so agree with you, you guys. We just love you all. We love you all. We just want to share a little. We could, in an hour, we couldn't share everything about our stories. We wouldn't even, be able to. But we wanted to let you know that you're not alone, no matter what you're walking through. It's just to let you know that you are not alone. There have been others who walk through the same. There have been others who walk through more.
Mhm.
And no matter where you find yourself on the spectrum, just know that you are on the heart and mind of God, that
Amen.
God desires to cause you to walk in his grace, that he desires to allow you to walk in his peace, that he will
Mhm.
be your strength when you are weak, that you don't have to have it all figured out, that you can simply exist and stand still and see the salvation of your God.
Yeah.
Encourage yourself in the Lord, declare his scriptures over your life. Allow
Mhm.
the power from every word to be just overshadowing your body. Declare the power of the blood of the Lamb, no
Yeah.
matter what it is and what you're going through. Trust him with your life, because I said it like this: if there is to be a miracle, he's the only one who can work it. If
Amen.
there is to be healing, he's the only one who can bring it. He
Right.
is the only one who can do it. And so we want to say this to you all. We love you. We love you. We love you. And we pray for you guys always. And we just want to say, we bless your lives and we thank you so much for taking out of your Friday night to come spend this time with you. And so, otherwise, until we meet again, God bless you all. And we'll see you again next Friday. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.